live, guys.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Richard Oelberger, clinical psychologist here, called in to be moderated for PPC Winners series. I believe we are at, this is episode 9, where we bring to you a live discussion and information from people working in business on the front lines, sharing with you previously how they were managing the quarantine and now how to make the transition beyond. Our previous guest was also from Kimurim Creative Copywriting, and today we are lucky to have another executive, her partner. She was now to be outdone or excluded. We have Lorraine Brimat. Did I say that correctly? Brimat.
Yep.
I'm working on my Israeli English. I'm working on my Hebrew still.
No
Welcome to
problem.
the show. Thanks for being
It's
here.
great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. It's always amazing the power of technology and across the globe reaching businesses as you're about to head off into the evening and we're just starting our day here in Los Angeles. How are you managing now that your economy has been fully opened over there and in terms of navigating post-quarantine?
Well, we're being cautious for the most part. Some of us are, some of us not so much. The beaches are filling up and so on and so forth. People are very excited to be able to get out of the house. And we're hoping that we're going to keep everything under control here. We have a lot of unemployment now, just like the rest of the world. We've been hard hit, but hopefully, things are going to turn around and we're going to learn to live with it. We're never going to get rid of it, I don't think, because we're going to have to learn to live with it. So here we go. We've got to, we've really got to make the effort now.
Yeah, that's true as humans and also as business owners. And I know that the quarantine has been a mixed blessing for us here. Obviously, I cannot see people face to face or there's a mask in between. So it's a little bit sad, especially here in the States. We've had lots of protests and racial inequity and things that have been coming up. So it's a hard time to feel separate, but at the same time, we're able to use technology to reach people globally.
I think we're very lucky. I think we're very lucky because, in earlier times, we would have been on our own and very isolated from the rest of the world and our families and so on. And, with Zoom, this wonderful invention, people are really being able to keep in touch.
Yeah. I mean, everything from game playing for seniors. I know my mom is playing mahjong twice weekly on, and they're still yelling at each other and bickering like they're face to face. So nothing's changed. So Lorraine, tell us a little bit, because our listeners are focusing on business. How have you in copywriting been able to maintain and grow as you transition out of this crisis?
Okay, well, you may be surprised to hear, but I am very, very optimistic because I believe that this whole time that we've been isolated at home and not able to get out, there's been a bit of a technological, experience for many, many, many people who up until now would never have dreamed of buying online. And now it's become the norm for them. It's the new norm. So I'm very, very optimistic for online sellers. And if online sellers are doing well, then we do well. And we love to see our sellers doing well. We love to see people succeeding in what they're doing. And obviously, it all rubs off. So yeah, I'm kind of excited now coming out of this. It's been slow. I won't say it hasn't. It's been slow, but I really think that it's a time for people to refresh and rethink and reorganize and create new and better ways to make money.
Yes, really important what you're saying, you know, refresh, restart. And I know that there used to be, you know, stories of certain businesses. One guy, I think even is named Sagemeister. I think he was in interior design, used to take 1 year off every 7 years. It sounds like almost something from biblical proportions.
That is biblical, yeah, very.
So, you know, and to see the world and to get in touch with other people, to reinvest in your business. How, as a business owner, do you stay in that kind of patience of creativity at a time when there has been, like you said, record unemployment and people are focused on their bottom line?
You know, it's a little bit different for us. That's the truth. I can't compare myself to people who have businesses where they employ hundreds of people and they have to take care of them and so on and so forth. We're a small business in terms of the number of employees that we have, and we're very lucky in that we have the ability to work from home. So I can't compare myself to people who have had really, really difficult times, and are finding it also difficult to come out of those times and rehire their people and so on. But as a copywriter, it's given a little bit of, how shall we say, an extra way of looking at things, an extra level of how we relate to our customers, our clients, how we help them. You know, we're helpful people. We like to help. We really do like to help, and people like to ask us questions and we love to answer. But we sort of taken on the more of a psychological aspect, you know, with helping people to get through this time and encouraging them to work on their own. If it's Amazon, work on your Amazon pages, optimize what you've already got, make changes. If you don't have brand registry, now's the time to go out and do it. Get brand registry so that you can have A+ descriptions, which are, you know, they're much more visual. People like to see that. It's a known fact that it does help with the increase in purchasing from people. So, you know,
Say more about that, Lorraine. Say more about that, maybe for some of the laymen who are listening, if they don't know what brand registry is.
Okay. So when we're talking about Amazon, there are two different types. Well, there are many different types of sellers on Amazon, actually. But the type of sellers that we work with, they usually either do have brand registry, which is they've approached Amazon and they've said to them, this is my brand, and I want to register it with Amazon, and nobody else can use my brand. That's it. This is my product. I sell it under my name and nobody else can touch it. And then there are those who are just starting out and very often don't want to go into that whole thing because there's a certain amount of expense involved and there's a certain amount of you know, administration involved and so on, and people are a bit wary of it. So normally I would say if a person is on their first product, no, this is not the time for you. Don't concentrate on that. But if you've already got 2 or 3 products up and you know that this is going somewhere and this is something that you want to continue working with, then brand registry is very important. Once you have brand registry, there's an element on the Amazon page which allows you to make a description which is much more visual. If you don't have brand registry, you're allowed to have a certain amount of characters. You can write, you can make it bold, you can, you know, it's okay. But once you have brand registry and you can do an A+ description, then you can have beautiful pictures. It's very colorful. The copy relates to the pictures. It's much easier for a person to relate to the text when they have the picture next to it. And if they're a person who doesn't like to relate to text, which we know there are a lot of people like that, then very often they get what they need from the pictures themselves. So
Yeah,
this is
especially like you said, people who have not been in the online medium before. Now, when they go online, they're looking for something they can trust. They want to see
absolutely.
pictures that they relate to.
Absolutely, especially for instance, if you have a product that needs some explanation because it's not your run-of-the-mill plug for your sink, you know, or strainer or whatever. It's something that needs some explanation. And not only can you have pictures which can explain what your product is, you can have beautiful lifestyle pictures where you have people using your product. And that's always, I mean, you know, that's always something where when you can see somebody else doing something, you can put yourself in their place. So you get to really understand why that person would be using it. For instance, perhaps it's something that you'd use in the garden, and you've got people out on beautiful, shiny summer's day enjoying themselves. It gives you a feeling of joy, and it encourages you to go ahead and buy that particular one, even though there might be another 10 that are exactly the same, maybe 20, maybe 30, but your pictures are talking to that person and it encourages them to buy. And of course, if you have the right text along with it, then you're way out there. And you're certainly in advance of the competition, which is basically, I think, something that all Amazon and Shopify and any e-commerce seller has to do right now. They have to get ahead of the competition, because there is more competition coming in. With so many people unemployed and looking for another way to make money, e-commerce is something that there are a lot of people interested in. And the more competition, the harder we have to work. So, you know, so get ahead of the competition. That's my advice to everybody. Just get ahead of the competition.
Yes, and so can Kimurim, can your company help advise people? I mean, this is like, it may be common knowledge, but for the layman to think that even like your bathroom stopper or average garden tool that needs to really have, you know, marketing differentiation to separate and get ahead. How can Kimurim help? I mean, do they reach out to you saying, I have X amount of pieces and I want to, right? You know, I want to sell.
Yeah, certainly. You know, it can start like that. Somebody might say, as you say, you know, somebody's got a garden spade and they want to know, how can I make this more attractive to other people? Now, I'm a writer, so I'm obviously thinking along the lines of the text. But when I'm thinking along the lines of the text, I'm getting ideas in my head of how something should look. So I would say, if everybody's selling a green spade, then you should be selling a red one. If everybody's selling a spade, which or just a spade on its own, give a gift with it, give something that goes along with it, give some gardening gloves. You know, so yes, we have lots and lots of ideas. We have lots and lots of experience. We've dealt with hundreds, if not thousands, of e-commerce sellers, and listen, they keep coming back, so I guess we're doing something right.
And how do you keep, you know, growing yourself? How do you keep excited and invested, especially after going through such a crisis like we've done? You've been in this for a few months, a few years. How do you and your partner keep the relationship growing and keep investing in your clients?
I think that the fact that there are so many people who are new to this type of selling and who are excited about it themselves makes us very excited. So, you know, when somebody comes to us like they did yesterday with a product which is basically the same as a lot of other people are selling, but they've given it a twist and it needs explaining, and it needs people need to understand what it is and how it works. That gets us excited, because it means we have to think. I mean, you know, it's all very well finding a great product, but you've got to find a great product and build on it. You can't just rely on what already exists. You've got to build on it. You've got to make it better.
That's a great lesson right there, right? Whatever you're doing, whatever you have, whether it be a podcast, therapy practice.
That's right.
I have to work on my Zoom friendly attire.
That's right. That's right.
your backgrounds, but you know, So, who'd have thought about that? Really separating yourself by being where your competitors are not.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
What are
And
some common other questions you're getting from new people hitting the space?
I'm not sure that we're getting especially new questions that relate to e-commerce as such. But we are certainly getting people, we mentioned the A+ before, we are certainly getting new people who are going into that, and they need some help in understanding how they set it up, which incidentally is very easy. Once you know how to set up a regular list, you're way in front. There are a lot of people who are beginning to do web pages and landing pages, which they've never done before. So they want some help with that. They want some advice. If I give somebody, how do I get somebody to leave me a review? That's a hard one. That's a hard one. We've got a few tricks up our sleeves. But so it's things along those lines. How can I
and
build
really
my
important,
business?
right? When you have a positive review, when you have a quality review,
Very important.
when you see those 5s.
Yeah, and there's, you've got to work your way around the legalese of Amazon as well. You have to stick, they keep changing everything. You know how that is. They change everything all the time. They come up with new laws, and they don't necessarily tell you about them. So you have to keep on top of that sort of thing. That's very important. So people, if somebody, for instance, was to come to me and say, I have something which I know is eco-friendly, I'm going to say to them, okay, do you have the paperwork to prove that? Because if you don't, I'm not writing it. Because if I write it, they'll close you down.
Mm-hmm.
So those are important things, and they are things that not everybody thinks about. Because yeah, your product is eco-friendly, but if you can't prove it, they're not going to let you say it.
Right, which is really important, right? When you partner with other businesses, when you're representing them,
Absolutely.
that you have to keep your partners in check.
Yeah. That's right.
There's a lot of room for, right, with opportunity comes opportunities for misrepresentation or bending the line and remaining credible and having a reputation.
Exactly. And you know what? It's not even necessarily about them not being credible. They probably are very credible. But they have to understand that there's no point in going to all that hard work and ordering their product and spending all that money and paying for shipments and goodness knows what else, and paying me to write their list for them. And then after 3 days being closed down, that's just a shame, Of course, there are people who are cleverer than me who can get them back up again, but who needs it? Who needs to go through that? It's
So is much more the protection for the buyer then in the Amazon e-commerce market?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no question. The buyers are all important. The sellers, as far as Amazon's concerned, you don't sell on here, that's okay. There are others, we're not worried, but they make their money from people who buy. They also make a lot of money from people who sell, but they're interested in the buyers. They are.
Amazing. Well, Lorraine, tell us a little bit of how people can get a hold of you and your vision for as we get into the final 2 quarters here of 2020.
Okay, so we're always available. Unfortunately, I say this, it's almost 24 hours. Usually because, my phone's sitting next to my head while I'm sleeping or doing anything else. And the same applies to Ruth. So we have a tendency to answer people in the middle of the night. So Facebook obviously is always a good place to find us. Kimurim Creative Copywriting, that's our name. And just leave us a message and we're always available. We'll get back to you. And if we don't get back to you, leave us another message because we missed you.
Because we were sleeping.
Yeah.
That's the only way to keep your smile and joy. I don't know how people do it on limited sleep.
Yeah.
I'm becoming more protective of my bear mode in my, middle years here. So any tips, remaining strategies for the end of 2020 you'd like to leave our listeners with today?
Think positive. I think that's the best advice that I can give. Think positive, look forward. Again, I do believe that there are going to be many, many, many more people buying online than there have been up until now. The sellers who are successful are the people who keep at it. There are ups and downs. There's no question. It's never a straight road. And keep trying. And if it doesn't work, try again.
That's right. Innovate. Yes.
That's
And,
it.
at least, like you said, you don't have to do it alone in today's marketplace.
Not at
Um,
all. Not at all. And the other thing is, of course, there are so many Facebook groups out there and so many people who want to help. So, for new sellers or even for sellers who have been out there for a while and they're just things that they don't know, you just put the question out there. There's always somebody who will answer. There's a
That's
lot
a
of good
really good
people out
point.
there.
That's a very good source for a lot of information from, as I've learned, selling American Girl doll, or if you want to learn how to learn healthy recipes and get in shape post quarantine. Community
Too
is a
true.
part of learning, and if doesn't matter if you have a PhD like myself, if you have not sold something online and done it well, you need help.
That's agreed.
And believe me, I think, I think I made some rookie mistakes. Just if your wording is off, if anything about, if a date is off. So having someone to double check and support you and making sure you're in line, both ethically and from a copywriting perspective, content editing.
Absolutely. I would just point out one more thing. I think that very often people believe that if they have English as a mother tongue, that they can write fabulous copy. And the same applies to anything else, whether it's copy or it's creating a product or whatever it is. Give it to the professionals because they do know what they're doing. They do know what they're doing, and they're going to keep you away from all sorts of potholes and pitfalls along the way, which you may otherwise fall into. So, certainly do lots, and you need to learn about every aspect of your business, but you can't know everything. So, that's why the professionals are out there.
That's right. That's what support is all about, and knowing who to reach out to. And I'm proud that Kimurim is out there, and that you've got partners so you can tag team and can't be everything to everyone and not sleep.
Too true.
For a short time, maybe for a short time.
Yeah, it's
I
too
don't know.
true.
Some people can do it. I become cranky. Well, Lorraine, thank you so much for joining us today. And we really appreciate your time and energy on behalf of PPC Winner. We thank you for being here on behalf of this series, and we hope listeners will reach out to you and see you as a resource. For everyone else out there, you're most welcome. Look forward to staying connected. For everyone else listening today, please, I'm Richard Oelberger. If you haven't already, take a look at my podcast, Richard Listens, exploring the wit, grit, and journeys of high performers from all walks of life and business, whether you be a business owner who's helped keep a house afloat and manage a business during the quarantine, or you be an Olympic athlete who can share ways of you overcame racism and things like that that are relevant to the entire world right now. We hope you'll check us out. My Patreon page is patreon.com/Richard Listens, and you can contact me on Instagram at Richard Listens. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you'll reach out to Lorraine and Kimurim and learn a thing or two about creative copywriting. Thank you, everybody. I'm Richard Listens, and I'm out.